The story of New York City is often told through steel, finance and expansion, but beneath the pavement lies a much older blueprint, one shaped by the Lenape people, whose deep ecological knowledge guided how land, water and seasons were respected long before modern development. Today, as storms grow stronger and urban heat intensifies, a growing number of historians, planners and survival-minded thinkers are recognizing that the future of the city may depend on rediscovering what was already understood centuries ago. This isn't nostalgia. It's a practical reassessment of how indigenous wisdom can inform climate resilience in one of the world's most complex urban environments. For decades, mainstream history framed New York's growth as a triumph of engineering over nature, often overlooking the sophisticated land stewardship practiced by the Lenape. Reclaiming the narrative means recognizing that indigenous ecological systems were not primitive, but highly adaptive responses to climate, terrain and seasonal cycles. Lenape settlements were placed strategically along waterways that allowed natural drainage, reducing flood risk without massive infrastructure. When modern planners examine areas that flood repeatedly today, they often discover that these locations were historically wetlands or marshes once managed through natural processes. Understanding this history reframes climate resilience from being purely technological to being ecological. For example, when you walk through parts of Manhattan where rain gardens or permeable pavements have been installed, you are witnessing modern echoes of land practices that valued absorption rather than resistance. A practical takeaway for viewers is to start observing how landscapes function rather than just how they look. Notice which parks sit in low-lying areas where water naturally gathers and how tree placement affects shade and airflow. These observations reflect principles the Lenape practiced as a matter of survival. Once you begin to look closely, traces of indigenous ecological thinking appear in unexpected places. Green roofs that reduce heat, restored wetlands along the Hudson, and tree-lined streets designed to cool neighborhoods are all modern interpretations of living with natural cycles rather than fighting them. The key lesson here is adaptability. Lenape structures were often lightweight, repairable and responsive to seasonal changes, allowing communities to adjust quickly to environmental shifts. Applying this mindset today doesn't require rebuilding a city from scratch. You can start small by just paying attention to how airflow works in your own environment. Opening windows to create cross-ventilation, planting shade trees in the right spots, or even using locally sourced materials in your home projects. All of these echo the same principle: work with the climate instead of against it. And even urban gardeners are rediscovering indigenous planting techniques that help improve soil resilience and boost biodiversity. These steps might seem simple, but together they actually reflect a broader cultural shift toward sustainable living. The rapid industrial growth of New York pushed efficiency and scale above all else, often just dismissing indigenous knowledge as outdated. Concrete replaced wetlands, rivers were redirected, and natural drainage systems ended up buried beneath streets. This shift wasn't just architectural, it really represented a change in worldview. Where the Lenape saw land as a living system, modern development treated it as a surface to be reshaped endlessly. Today's climate challenges are forcing a reconsideration of those choices. Flood mitigation projects now focus on restoring marshlands, and urban planners are actually experimenting with materials that mimic natural permeability. Recognizing why indigenous practices were overlooked helps viewers understand the stakes involved in reclaiming them. It also highlights the importance of historical accuracy. By studying original Lenape land use patterns through maps, oral histories and ecological research, communities can get a better sense of which areas of the city are naturally resilient and which require careful adaptation. So, acknowledging the Lenape legacy goes beyond just learning history. It really requires active participation in preserving cultural heritage and promoting climate-conscious design. Supporting local initiatives that restore native plants, protect waterways, or educate the public about indigenous history is honestly one direct way viewers can engage. Visiting museums, reading Lenape-authored materials, and participating in community discussions all help ensure that indigenous voices remain central to conversations about the city's future. Another practical step is, advocating for urban planning that prioritizes natural systems. When new developments are proposed, it's worth asking whether they incorporate green spaces, water absorption features, or sustainable materials. These are not just modern inventions, but adaptations of ancient ecological strategies. Even homeowners and renters can contribute by choosing materials with lower environmental impact or by supporting policies that expand urban tree coverage. Each action reflects the same philosophy that guided Lenape resilience: balance between human needs and environmental health. Reclaiming the narrative is not about rewriting history for symbolism alone. It is about recognizing that survival knowledge accumulated over generations still holds practical value. The Lenape legacy reminds us that resilience comes from understanding ecosystems deeply, rather than imposing control over them. As cities worldwide face rising temperatures and unpredictable weather, the integration of indigenous ecological wisdom offers a path toward adaptation that is both sustainable and, honestly, culturally respectful. For history enthusiasts and survivalists alike, this perspective shifts the focus from short-term solutions to long-term balance. It encourages viewers to question assumptions about progress and to look for lessons embedded in the landscapes around them. By acknowledging the Lenape contribution to New York's environmental resilience, we also create space for more inclusive conversations about whose knowledge shapes the future of urban life. If this deep dive into forgotten history and modern climate survival strategies resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share this video with fellow history enthusiasts, and, join the conversation about how the past can guide the future.